so glad that all of you are here to join us tonight. Kim, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Present.
Ms. Quetch. Here. Mr. Webb.
Here.
Mayor Pillion.
Here.
Let the record reflect that Vice Mayor Anderson is not at the meeting.
Okay, now if Councilmember Austin would like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now we have Stephen Bednar, who's going to open our meeting in prayer.
Thank you, Council. Good to see you all this evening. Let's pray. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for life. We thank you for providing for us on a regular daily basis, every minute even. Help us to reflect upon that, to remember that what we have is from you, that all good things come from you, that we can depend on you and trust you. We thank you for your faithfulness to us as your creatures. We thank you for the salvation that you have freely offered to us through your Son, Jesus Christ. We thank you for the truth of your word that we are able to know and understand. We thank you for how you make yourself known in this world, even just through your creation. Thank you that we're able to live here in a beautiful town and county and area of this country to enjoy the beauty that you have created. Help us when we look at the mountains and the scenery, the art around, to know that you have created these things and that you are the author of life, the author of beauty. We thank you for your provision for this town. We thank you for these men and women sitting in front of us today, that they serve us, that they make decisions not just what's good for them, but what's good for the town, that they care enough to spend their time, their energy, their resources. They sacrifice many of those things in order to serve us. And so help us to be a grateful people. Help us to respect them. And I do pray that you would help them to continue to respect one another, to encourage one another, to lift one another up. Help them even just in this meeting and the conversations that happen. Help them to honor you, to make decisions that are fair, that are equitable, that are for the good of all. I thank you for this day, the sun that's shining, your Son who you have sent, and for your peace that you have given to us. Help us to rest in that, even tonight during this meeting. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, now we need to approve the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
So the motion by Mr. Austin, I was gonna say Mr. Anderson, and he's not here. Motion by Mr., I stopped myself though. Mr. Austin, and a second by Mr. Webb. Is there any discussion? There's no discussion. Kim, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin.
Aye.
Ms. Quetch.
Aye.
Mr. Webb.
Aye.
And Mayor Pillion.
I can't think, I'm having problems telling people the wrong name today. I've called my children the wrong name. It's been bad. Sorry. Now we need to approve our minutes, both from June the 5th and June the 22nd.
I think we need to do this separately with Mr. Webb. I think it was on.
Right. Okay, so first of all, we need to approve our minutes from June the 5th. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
So the motion made by Ms. Webb, seconded by I need to go back to bed and start over. Motion made by Ms. Quetch, seconded by Mr. Austin. Is there any discussion? If not, Kim, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
As I was not at the June 5th meeting, I'll abstain.
And Mayor Pilligan?
Aye. Okay, now, we need a motion to amend a motion contained in the minutes from the June 22nd, 23 meeting concerning the second reading of an ordinance proposing a budget. So basically, on motion of Mrs. Quetch, seconded by Mr. Austin, the budget ordinance be passed with an amendment to the appropriation of the line item identified as, quote, use of general fund reserves, end quote, to be renamed, quote, council appropriation expenditures, end quote, meaning that before funds may be expended from the general fund reserves, that the town management first obtain the town council's approval. Would someone like to make that motion?
And so the motion is to amend the minutes to reflect that
Okay.
statement. Yeah.
Would someone like to make that motion?
Sure, I'll make that motion.
Would someone like to second it?
I'll second.
Okay, I'm gonna get this right this time. The motion was made by Mr. Webb and seconded by Mr. Austin. Is there any discussion? If there is no discussion, Kim, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
And Mayor Pilligan?
Aye. Okay. Now is our time for public comments. We have 2 people signed up for public comments.
Excuse me, did we
Yes.
approve those minutes?
Yes.
I know we approved the amendment, but did we approve the minutes?
I think that was the motion, was to
Yes.
approve the minutes with the
Okay,
amendment.
good, thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
I know, we had a question last time too, and I don't think we did it quite right, so now we've cleaned it up and it should be perfect. Okay, so the first public comment we have is Amanda Bailey from the Washington County Public Library.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm from the library. Wanted to invite you all to come visit the new Story Walk at the Meadows. We're having the ribbon cutting tomorrow at 10 o'clock. It looks really nice. The Kiwanis did a nice job installing it. Whenever I'm out there tinkering, people come by and tell me how much they like it. So I think it's a nice addition to the sports complex, and we're excited to be there. So come see us tomorrow at 10, and it's open, and we're changing the stories each month. So lots of
How
fun.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. That's a great project. Now we also have Greg Lilly. It's our second person.
Thank you all for allowing public comments. It's always helpful. First, I wanted to thank everyone. I'm Greg Lilly, 244 East Valley Street. I want to thank everybody for the parking lanes on Valley Street. I think they've really helped, especially with parking. We're getting a lot of cars showing up there, especially going up to the courthouse. So I think this should help with the courthouse's issues with parking. And it is helping some with speeding. When you've got vehicles out there, it slows people down. I am looking forward to other initiatives for the walkability that are on the slate. The 2 speed feedback indicator signs that kind of tell you how fast you're going, and it's right under what the speed limit should be. And the curb extensions onto the crosswalks, which will bump them out a little bit. Also on Plum Alley, talking about walkability, we're anticipating speed limit signs. I know Mr. Anderson has been working on that for us. Signs from Court to Tanner. Right now, there aren't any. It would be great if we could get something like what's back here. There are 3 speed limit signs behind Town Hall and none from Court to Tanner. So things like watch for pedestrians, children at play. We have a park there. We have the Wolf Cave, so we have a lot of tourists coming through there. These are great projects, and I feel like it would be enhanced if we could do a bicyclist and pedestrian safety campaign. And this could be something just to remind and educate citizens and visitors about looking out for each other. There are multiple resources. VDOT has things about this. Drive Smart Virginia. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has made, starting today through the end of the month, is their 2023 speed prevention campaign. And also America Walks. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that. It's a national organization, and they actually have community change grants that will help communities do things like this, make it more walkable. So each one of these have toolkits that include social media posts, press releases, blog posts, case studies for community awareness and education. And they do everything from aggressive driving and speeding, distracted driving, impaired driving, the phone down. It's the law campaign that started in 2021. Living on Valley, people aren't putting their phones down when they drive. And bicycle safety for children. So I think the current traffic initiatives are great, but they'll benefit by adding community education campaigns. Thank you.
I wanted to add that, I meant to tell you this earlier, but just behind your house, there's another danger on Valley and, on Plum Alley, and, there's a nice little skunk.
Yeah, I've run
I
into him a
encountered
couple of
him.
times.
I encountered him. I'm down a pair of shoes, and my dog was tortured by being bathed several times. So, yeah, he's very friendly.
We can't figure out where Pepe Le Pew lives, but he lives somewhere nearby.
Max stuck his nose in a bush, and he got a nice greeting. So,
Be careful.
yes, there is a skunk on Plum Alley.
Thank you.
It likes to spray people. Thank you for those comments. Okay, we don't have, well, I guess we do have a resolution,
Proclamation.
a proclamation. We don't have any, oh, I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead. I'm really struggling with reading tonight. We have a proclamation recognizing July as National Parks and Recreation Month. So Mr. Webb is going to read that for us.
Thank you, Mayor Cleve. Designation of July as Park and Recreation Month. Whereas parks and recreation are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including Abingdon, and whereas parks and recreation promote health and wellness, improving the physical and mental health of people, and whereas parks and recreation promote time spent in nature, which positively impacts mental health by promoting cognitive performance and well-being, and benefiting veterans experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder systems, depression, and better sleep quality. And whereas Parks and Recreation encourage physical activities by providing space for popular sports, hiking trails, swimming pools, and many other activities designated to promote active lifestyles. And whereas Parks and Recreation are fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. Whereas Abingdon residents recognize the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources. Now therefore, be it resolved by Mayor Amanda Pillion that July is recognized as Parks and Recreation Month in the town of Abingdon. Signed, Amanda Pillion.
And I think we have some, the Veterans Advisory Council here. Are you all here to accept the proclamation?
We are.
Come forward and we'll take a picture and give you the proclamation. We did do a Mondays with the mayor talking about this, so if anybody is interested, you can go look that up. It was on Facebook. So we met in the park and we talked about this and filmed a little video. Thank you all for being here.
Jump down.
It's like a photo bomb. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you all for coming. I'll keep that for you. Okay. Now, we do not have a public hearing or any resolutions or ordinances. We do not have any bids to consider. don't have any new business or old business. We do have communications from the town manager, which is including our quarterly report from the Abingdon Police Department. We have Chief Holbrook to bring us up to date.
Got a PowerPoint too. That's my cue for IT. Turn on the PowerPoint.
Hit the button.
There we go. Amazing how these things work. Mayor, members of council, thank you all for allowing me an opportunity to speak. I wanted to give you a mid-year report of what we've been up to at the Abingdon Police Department. Please stop me if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them. And these are just going to be the highlights. Mr. Cochran told me I couldn't spend half the night up here talking about what I do every day, but so I'm going to try to keep it kind of short, kind of sweet, and just the top part. I want to talk a little bit about our new officers who we hired. You know, my officers are my #1 asset at the police department. You got to have good officers to have a successful agency. A little bit of our hiring, our training, some of our community outreach, our equipment, and then the fun statistics. So there's our organization chart, just so you're aware of how we're lined up. It's basically, we have two divisions. We have the patrol side, and then we have the admin and investigation side. And you'll notice we have a third SRO that's based on the grant that we were approved last year. And he had a very successful year at the high school. Having two up there was very important and very critical this year. So this is our newest hire, or one of our newest hires, Alex Gardner. He started in February 2023. He came to us as a certified police officer, which is great because I don't have to send him to the basic academy. Just threw him in a car for a field training program that was several weeks long. He attended Sullivan East High School, and a fun fact about him is he's fluent in German. He spent some time in his youth in Germany. His father was in the military, and he learned German there. Got to use it at Food City the other day. Had some tourists that were speaking German in the house, so he practiced the skills. Our latest hire in June was Jacob Hagee. It's not Hagee, it's Hagee, even though we mix it up all the time. He has his bachelor's degree in criminal justice from ODU. He just finished that, and he just started with us. He'll start his academy training in July. So right now, he's just doing the onboarding, reading a lot of policy. He's really enjoying that. But we gotta know the rules before we get out there. So as soon as he's done that, he'll start his academy training. We're also hiring. We have 2 vacancies right now. So this is my little plug here. So if anybody's watching and knows anybody that has an interest in being in law enforcement, please let us know. The hiring, the application's online. It's real easy to apply through our system. But also wanted to go through our process. I know that's been in the news a little bit here lately, how we go through the hiring process. But ours is pretty extensive. I mean, an applicant will start by putting in their application. That gets them in the door into the written test. They'll come in, take the written test. It's a standardized test that we pick up through the Chiefs of Police Association. From there, we go do a little background interview to kind of seeing what they've done in their past, what their education level is. Do they have some college? Do they have an associate? Do they have a bachelor's? Do they have a master's degree? What they've done in the past. And then we'll take them outside. We'll do a physical agility test, and then we'll do the 1.5 mile run on the creeper trail. Now, the 1.5 mile run you have to complete in under 18 minutes. And that just shows that they'll be able to complete the basic academy because they have the physical agility test there. They have the 1.5 mile run that they got to complete their first day. The top applicants, based on the written test score and some of their background scores, will go into a formal panel interview. I use 5 officers and staff from different areas. I'll try to get it as diverse as I can for that panel. And then I'll bring the applicant in and they'll sit down and talk to those panel. From there, we do a very extensive background, and the background's the slow part. That takes us a month or 2 months to go through every part of their background. If they make it through that, they come to have an interview with me, and then it's the drug screen, psychological, and it's the medical, physical. Successfully complete all that, then you get on this page right here, where it's a new hire in front of you all. Hopefully by the next time I talk to you all, I'll have 2 more spots. Thank you all for keeping that as well in the budget. Once somebody's hired though, I don't stop there with training. They got to continuously train. We have to keep our skills sharp, our brain sharp, and know to fill. So far in this mid-year, I've sent 6 officers to the breath alcohol certification school in Richmond. Basically, that's so you can operate the breathalyzer machine at the jail. So if they arrest somebody for DUI, that they'll take them to the jail and do the breath machine. Cool thing about that school, even though it's in Richmond, it is reimbursed by the state, so that saves us a little money. I had one officer go to the crime scene investigation school, and I'll just kind of skip through these a little bit. I've had several go through the active shooters instructor school. That way they can bring it back in-house and we can keep our skills sharp on responding to active shooters. Officer Schumann spent a week for basic blood pattern school. Very fascinating school that she attended. Officer Richmond went to an FBI LEDA media and public relations school. We had a drug interdiction, peer support, and Revive instructor. Now the Revive instructor is so that we can train each other on administering naloxone. So if we need to give somebody Narcan, we train all of our officers. Our officers on patrol carry it with them just in case they need it. So far this year we've administered 4 doses of Narcan. Last year it was 8. Some community outreach projects. These are kind of the fun things that we do. Officer Richardson and Officer Schumann both teach the RAD class. This is the Commonwealth Attorney's Office that participated. This is a kind of a several-day class. The Coombs Center opens up, gives us a fitness room, and then we go through there. I think they had a good time with it. We did a fentanyl awareness program at the high school. This was sponsored by the Appalachian Substance Abuse Coalition. And this is where Officer Brummett, who is our newly selected SRO, got up in front of the school auditorium and talked about the dangers of fentanyl, which are very real and very relevant to the school system. And then Officer DeBusk and Officer Brummett put together a vape pen presentation that goes along with it to talk about not vaping as well as not using anything with fentanyl in it. So Battle of Badges was fun. I don't know if any of you all came out to that. We had a great time. We had 220 donors. Chief Estes will tell you who won the Battle of Badges.
Not the fireworks.
An interesting stat about this is we had 36 full-time employees who came out and donated blood and 10 part-time employees. And just to drive it home, the police department got 63 donations on our behalf, and fire department had a few less than that. It was a good time, and a lot of donations is what our goal was. And we had a Special Olympics Tortron. You may have seen them out running on Main Street. They had a good time to support Special Olympics. For Autism Awareness Month, Jerry Signs helped us create these little stickers, the emergency responder stickers, donated it to us so that we can hand out to put on people's cars. So if somebody needs special accommodations, or if there's a person with autism, we can put a little sticker on their car, and that way the officer, if there is an encounter, knows that there's somebody in there that needs something, needs some kind of special accommodation. We also got to visit the high school and E.B. Stanley Middle School and talking about a fun day, take a police car to those schools. We had fun showing them our cars. At E.B. Stanley, though, I will say we were cool until the fire department let them shoot the water hose. And then we definitely got trumped by that. So this is new. Our bike patrol is finally up and running. I have to give a huge shout out to ETSU Campus Police. Their chief allowed Lieutenant Mayberry to come down for 2 separate trainings, and each training was 4 10-hour days. So that was huge, but that got us up and rolling. We got 8 officers trained on our new bikes. The bikes came from the bike shop. Jerry Kemper put them together for us and has been doing a lot of repairs on them. Apparently we're kind of rough on the bikes. But the bikes were funded by a grant through Norfolk Southern. So they got us up and going with that program. And it's been a success. Everybody's seen us out a little bit. We kind of got new uniforms that are high-vis with the high-vis blue. And hopefully we'll be on the Creeper Trail more and downtown area more doing some patrols. We did get new cruisers, our F-150s. So I wanted to hit a little bit on this, on why we got the pickups over the Explorers. I know there's been a little talk in the community about it, so it's a good time for me to explain what we did. One is we needed vehicles badly. It's hard to walk to calls for service, so sometimes vehicles help with that. So when I was approved to purchase the vehicles, I started making the phone calls to the Ford dealerships about, do you have anything? And I got, not till February, maybe March, we don't know. Windows closed, you can order here, you can order there. So I called various different dealerships and I kept striking out. I went to Mr. Cochran for help because he had a lot of resources and it became very difficult. Finally, I was able to locate 5 of the new police pickup trucks. 2 came out of Florida and 3 came out of Mississippi. That's where I had to go. I thought I was going to be the chief that couldn't get police cars for his fleet, which wouldn't talk. So we settled on the trucks. They became very handy. They're very durable. And durability is key right now because finding parts sometimes for those Explorers is problematic. If you have a whole fleet with one type of vehicle and you can't find a part, then your vehicles are down for a while. They're very versatile. You know, we got more cargo room. I issued these out to the supervisors so that they can carry a little extra stuff. So if their officers on their shift need extra things. Now, I will say that one supervisor decided he'd keep an Explorer and use the truck as a reward for one of his officers. The visibility in them, officers are sitting up higher, they can see out good, the public can see the vehicles, and they're roomy inside, there's a lot of comfort. The vehicle price, each truck base price was $39,500. In comparison, the Explorer price was $37,580. So around $2,000 difference between the two types of vehicle. And of course, the equipment installation was $12,000. When I ordered it, it was a turnkey package. They got it, they took it to their installers, they ordered the equipment, and they built the vehicle. I ordered them on August 22, didn't get them till March 2023. These were in-stock vehicles. It just took that long to get any kind of equipment installed in them. So now the fun part, the statistics. So what have we been doing out here answering calls? We've had 135 crashes. 1,868 incident reports have been created. And then we have, of those 1,868, 213 were Group A offenses and 1,779 were Group B offenses. They separate into Group A and Group B. That's kind of the national standard. It's the FBI national standard on offense codes, how we report to the state, and then they in turn report our stats to the FBI. The Group A offenses are your crimes with higher penalties. So those are your felonies and your higher penalty crimes, where your Group B offenses are your lower penalty crimes and your non-crimes. Traffic stops were 848 so far this year. So a little look at our crashes in comparison. We had 135 this year. This time last year we had 157, which is a good trend that we're kind of below that. You know, part of our goal with traffic enforcement is to reduce our crashes. Top 3 locations of crashes, of course, Cummings Street, East Main, and West Main, and they account for about 57% of our total crashes throughout town, which makes sense because that's where the largest portion of our vehicle traffic are, is East Main, West Main, and Cummings. And then there's the full, I guess we're going on 13-year data of my crashes. So last year we had a total of 302 crashes. Hopefully we'll be less than that this year. Some of our traffic enforcement, so far this year we've issued 450 summonses and conducted 848 traffic stops. And then the full year 2022, I put as a comparison right there beside it. I did want to throw in a little note here. We do get a DMV highway safety grant. That grant's worth $7,300. And what that grant does is it pays officer overtime to go do speed enforcement. The grant specifically wants to highlight on speed enforcement for that. So the officers will come in on overtime, and that overtime monies will get reimbursed. It is a matched grant, but it's in kind. So we provide uniform, we provide the vehicle, we provide everything else. They just pay for the overtime. Some speed violations by location. And you can see here, you know, Russell Road, we hit pretty heavily. That's a feeder road into Valley Street. And also Little League's right there with the crosswalk. Porterfield Highway, 24 summonses. Those are our top two. Did want to hit a little bit on Valley Street. Now within my budget that you all approved, to answer Mr. Lilly's question about this speed indicator signs, those are included in that. So we'll be getting quotes and getting those ordered as soon as we can. I do agree that the striping on Valley Street has definitely increased parking. There's been a lot of folks parking on Valley Street now. That's probably has taken some from Main Street and around the courthouse. You see more parking on Valley Street. So far in this year, we stopped 135 cars, issued 47 summonses, and 25 for speeding. Crashes on Valley Street is 9. We had 7 on the east side and 2 on the west side. So here's our overall look at our Group A offenses. Remember, these are the ones with the higher penalties. These go from murder pretty much to the weapons law violations. We've had 213 of those cases reported, closed 88 for arrest, 31 for exception. That exception would be if somebody doesn't want to prosecute for a crime, for example. 8 were unfounded, 85 are still active for one reason or another. As you can see, our simple assaults are 32, and our aggravated assaults are 9 aggravated assaults. For these, a majority domestic related. For our Group B, this is our kind of our miscellaneous stuff. It also has some of our DUIs in there. So we've had 22 DUIs. Disorderly conduct, they changed the reporting standard for disorderly conduct to include drunkenness with that. So intoxicated public is the majority of those. So in this chart is a good comparison between where we're at now in blue in 2023, and in orange would be our 2022 between January and June. So you can see where we've increased at. We have seen an increase in our simple assaults, a pretty heavy increase in our aggravated assaults. Our larcenies have gone up. The false pretenses, that's your scams. So a lot of scams are getting reported. And these are not just, this is when somebody gets scammed out of money. As well as our destruction, damage of property, and our drug violations have already also gone up as well. So this time, last year, we had 141 reports. This time we had 213. And our Group B, though, Group B is a little bit better than that. It's gone down a little bit. So in 2022, this time in 2022, we had 1,833. In 2023, we have 1,779. So we have seen a little decrease in the miscellaneous stuff. So any questions? Do you want me to hit anything else? Go back?
It's pretty comprehensive, I like it.
All right.
Did you let them start at White Top for the run?
Get it downhill.
Downhill 1.5 miles.
Yeah.
You all do a great job, and we're glad that we have you working on our side.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I'm
you.
encouraged too, and it just, and I'll say this about the fire department also, but y'all seem to have fun and you seem to love one
Yeah,
another.
we do. Yeah.
So,
We have a good
that's
time together.
important.
We pick on each other every once in a
Yeah.
while, but most police fire do.
Thank you.
Okay, any more communications from the town manager?
Just real briefly, we coming up at the end of the month, Virginia Highlands Festival starts the week of July 21st. Something for everyone, I'm told. Actually, it's an excellent festival, so it's really good. And then looking out slightly, if anybody's got stuff building up in their garage, August 19th is another one of the Abington's town-wide yard sales. So we're accepting permits for that, so that'll be August 19th. And then also to Mr. Lilly's comment on the narrowing, some of the projects, because of how the DOT gets funded, or because how our money comes in for certain projects, that we couldn't do it all at once, and so it is in process. But I do agree that the narrowing helps, and then when people parking on the street, it visually narrows the road even more. So hopefully that will continue to be the trend. And then also your monthly report will be posted online as soon as the meeting's over, and then you'll have a printed copy as well.
Council member reports. Anybody have anything to talk about?
I just real quickly want to say the 4th of July celebration, even though it wasn't on the 4th, of course, was great. What part that I made it to, I had to work that day as well. The fireworks were fantastic. There were a lot of people downtown, a lot of people enjoying the festivities, and that's what you want to see.
That's it.
Anybody else? Okay, so we have some appointments to make to boards and committees. If we so desire, we could go into closed session to discuss these and to consider these applications. What is your pleasure?
I'd like to go on closed session.
Okay, then we go to closed session. Who would like to read us into closed session? Do we have that? We have the motion. Would you like to do that, Mr. Webb?
Sure. I'd make a motion that the Abington Town Council convene in closed session to discuss the following as permitted by Virginia Code. Where is it, Cam? No, I'm missing it.
3711 A1.
3711?
A1.
Okay, all right. As permitted by Virginia Code, Section 2.2-3711A1. And it's consideration or appointment or promotion of, guess, committees and boards. Does that work, Cam?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do we have a second for that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Webb, second by Ms. Quetch. Is there any discussion? Can we please call the roll?
Mr. Austin?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
And Mayor Pillion?
Aye. Okay. the roll.
Mr. Austin?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Mayor Pillion?
Aye.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion.
Wait,
Sorry.
certification.
He's to certify.
So I have to certify. So I move that the town council certify that in closed session just concluded, nothing was discussed except the matter or matters specifically identified in the motion to convene in closed session and lawfully permitted to be discussed under the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act cited in that motion.
Second.
Mr. Austin, do you so certify?
I so certify.
Ms. Quetch?
I so certify.
Mr. Webb?
I so certify.
And Mayor Pillion?
I so certify.
Now, Ms. Quetch, you may go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for the appointments of boards and committees. I'd like to make a motion for infrastructure, Mike Owens, for redevelopment and housing, Janet Woolwine, Tourism Advisory Committee, Tina Murray, and to reappoint Kurt Sproles on the Planning Commission.
I second that motion.
Okay, motion made by Ms. Webb, seconded by Ms. Quetch. Good grief. Seconded by Mr. Austin. Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, Kim, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Austin?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
And Mayor Pillion?
Aye. Okay, if we have no further business, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much.
Here, here.
Maybe next time I'll be able